Welcome back to another edition of Stuff You Don't Usually See. You know how this works. We're recording something to send over to a local group of radio stations, but you get to watch. You get to watch how all this stuff happens. So my guest today is Julie Kaler. Julie is Code Enforcement Supervisor for the City of College Station. How's it going?
It's going great.
Okay, you ready to do this for sort of radio and for TV?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Well, thank you and good morning. My guest today is Julie Kaler, Code Enforcement Supervisor for the City of College Station. Julie, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
So I know this time of the year is busy for you and your code enforcement officers because if it's not move out, it's move in, and we're at move in.
Yes.
And you have a whole new group of people to work with.
Yes.
A whole new clientele. So talk to me a little bit about what your world looks like right now.
So my world, our world, it's not just my world, it's everybody's world, code enforcement's world, sanitation's world, residents' world, new citizens. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Glad you're here. So our world is a little messy right now because like you said, it is move-in and people are trying to get settled in, get ready for the new semester or get ready for their new job, whatever the case may be. Usually about this time of year, everybody decides now's a good time to move to College Station. So we're trying to keep up with everybody, educating them on when their trash day is, when their recycling day is, what you can put out, what you can't put out, just kind of trying to make sure that the city looks the way it's supposed to look every other day of the year.
And I would think that you have at least a couple of things happening at one time. Either you're coming from another place that does things a little differently than we do, so that requires you to learn some things, or you may be a young person, a student who has never lived in a house, in a neighborhood where you're responsible for some of these things because maybe mom or dad or grandma or grandma, grandpa or grandma took care of all that, and you really have to learn some new things of how to be a good neighbor. So what are some of the most common things that you end up having to educate people on?
The most common thing is actually parking in the yard. We get a lot of people that come from more rural neighborhoods where you can park in the grass, you can park in the yard, you can park wherever, out in the pasture. But here it's a little bit different. Each town is a little bit different in their ordinances and how they enforce them. But here we try to make sure that you don't park on the grass at all. Our rule of thumb is no more than 50% of a vehicle can be parked on the grass. So if you're coming from Lampasas, Texas, try not to park on the grass.
Why did you pick on Lampasas?
I grew up there.
Okay, I wondered. There had to be something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're not just new to the area, coming from rural to, more urban setting, if you're, like you said, that new kid in town where mom and dad have kind of taken care of everything for you, taking the trash out, making sure things got cleaned up, that you're not just leaving, those lovely red Solo cups everywhere. We try and make sure that everybody knows that, hey, you got to make sure that your yard is litter free. Your trash day, you got to put your trash out on that certain day. Bring that can in when it's picked up, and just try and make sure that if you're living in a neighborhood, not just an apartment complex, but in a neighborhood, that we want to make sure that that neighborhood looks good.
Yeah.
For everybody, because you're going to have some neighborhoods that have a little bit of students, a little bit of permanent residents, a little bit of renters, a family that's renting a house, all kind of mixed in together. So we all got to kind of get to know each other. Go out there, meet your neighbor, get to know them, because if you're working a night shift and you work during the day, you might not have that opportunity to bring your can in when you need to. Yeah. So just go knock on the door and say, hey, can you help me out? And it just makes the world a better place if you get to know everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you do want the place to look nice, but there are also some health and safety aspects to that as well. You want to make sure vehicles have a clear path, and that you just aren't putting people in an awkward or unsafe situation.
Right, absolutely. So just make sure you know where you're parking. don't park in a no parking zone, because we want to make sure that the streets are clear for fire and PD and all those emergency service vehicles that need to get down to the street to help someone. So just kind of be mindful of where you're parking, how you're parking. That 18 inches can make a big difference between, that vehicle coming clear down the street and knocking your side mirror off.
Right. Oh, and back to parking. I think you guys frown upon trying to sell parking spaces in your yard or what have you during, say, a game day weekend type thing.
Right. So no, that's a no-no. Do not sell your driveway parking. So if you have room for 4 people to park their vehicles, we strongly discourage you from using your residential property as a commercial type of endeavor. By selling those parking spots.
Yeah. Okay, so how about noise? Is noise still something that you guys end up responding to, noise complaints?
Usually that's going to be a PD type of thing.
Okay.
We kind of do a follow-up after the effect. So the police department, they'll send somebody out, make sure the decibel levels are where they need to be, make their contacts. And then what we do is we come in the next week and make sure that there's no other violations, like litter with the solo cups or an accumulation of trash, or my personal favorite, I think you know what this is, Jay.
Go ahead.
The bedroom or the living room on the roof.
Yeah. Does that still happen now and then?
Now and then it does, yes. More the bedroom, not the bedrooms, the couches and the recliners on the roof, more than the bedroom, the bed type of thing. So yeah,
that requires such effort, though.
It does. I don't have that kind of energy.
No.
I applaud them for the effort, but we can't have that on our roof.
No, you don't want your neighbors looking out and seeing furniture on the roof.
Exactly.
That's just poor form.
Bad form.
So if you run into cases like that, like, what does your office do? What does your code officer do? What's that process like?
The process is we try and make contact with that resident. We try and make contact with the property manager or even the property owner and just say, hey, I know you had a good time, but we really need to make sure that couch and that recliner is off of the roof. We need to make sure that all the litter's picked up. And then from there, we start to get a little bit more assertive. So if you decided that, no, you know what, I really like having the couch up on the roof, I'm just going to leave it there, then we could issue a citation or a summons to court for having that open storage out where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah. How about, because I know this is an issue at my house at least, where, the yard, if left unattended for a couple of weeks, gets pretty high. What about tall weeds, grass, that kind of thing within our neighborhoods?
So I always ask this, what is 12 inches?
Okay.
And people are like, oh, it's this big. And it's like, it's either not as tall as you think it is, or it's taller than you think it is. So it comes to about mid-calf, which is really kind of tall.
It is.
It's almost, halfway to your knee. So our little saying is, if you can't see your knees, mow your yard, please.
Okay.
Mom joke.
Yeah.
So yes, just kind of be aware that 12 inches is our height limit, and that you need to keep your yard under that.
Yeah. So, of the things we've talked about so far, which are the most prevalent for your officers? What do you find yourself having to deal with over and over and over again? Or maybe it's something we haven't talked about yet, like a junked vehicle. But what takes up the bulk of your time?
The bulk of our time is getting people to understand that they have to pull their cans in within 12 hours after their collection day.
Okay.
The way I explain it to people is, if you're the last person at the end of the day, I know sanitation has been, really working hard, but on a typical day, that's about 4:30, 5 o'clock. That's going to be 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Honestly, we're not going to be out there that early, but if it is out after 8 a.m. or even after noon, then you're going to get a door tag, an email, a phone call from us reminding you of, hey, your garbage day was on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. Please pull your can in. The other thing we have been seeing are the junk vehicles in the street. Yeah, people that, I don't know, for one reason or another, just haven't registered their cars.
So I was going to ask, what is considered a junk vehicle?
So in the street, it's got to be inoperable, dismantled for 72 hours with an unexpired or an expired registration sticker.
Okay.
For 72 hours. Now, on private property, same thing, expired registration, dismantled, inoperable for 30 days.
Okay.
So we're seeing a lot of those, and I don't know if it had to do with the pandemic where there was like a moratorium on getting your vehicle registered. I know the state had kind of put that on hold for a while. Well, they've lifted that. Now you got to get your registration done.
Okay. So what did we not cover? Because I know you brought some materials in front of you. So what did we not cover? You want to make sure folks know.
Oh my gosh. Well, game day's coming up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little crazy.
Yep.
Again, just strongly encourage people to watch where they're parking. The police department's going to be out there looking for people parking inappropriately in the street. Code enforcement's going to be out there looking for those parking in the yards. So just kind of be aware. It gets crazy here. There's going to be people walking in the streets, having a good time. So just kind of be aware of your surroundings, where you're driving, how you're driving, who's in front of you, who's behind you. Just, the rules of the road.
And if it says no parking on a particular side of the road, we really mean it.
We do.
And it's not a revenue generator. That's not what this is. It is truly about safety.
It is. It's like we talked about earlier. It's making sure that those roads are safe for emergency vehicles to get down and to service somebody who's in distress.
Yeah, because some of those streets, especially on the south side and even north of campus as well, they were built a long, long time ago and are a bit narrow in some places. And so there is a reason why parking has been removed from one side of the street.
Yeah, and always look.
Yeah.
If nobody's parked on this street, you might want to take a little quick, gander, a little look around and see, are there any no parking signs? Because we've had tons of people that'll either pass a sign and park or park right underneath the sign.
Yeah.
And then, they get ticketed or towed and they're like, well, I didn't see the sign. Well, you parked right underneath it.
Right.
So that's why I say be situationally aware.
Okay, so if somebody believes they have a code complaint or a code concern, what should they do about that?
Well, they can contact me at codeenforcement@cstx.gov.
Okay.
Give me as much information as you can. Address, exact address is even better. What you think is in violation. And if you want any kind of contact back, you can also call our number, 979-764-6363. Some people like to use the app, the SeeClickFix.com app.
Right.
They can go on there. They can take pictures, post it to SeeClickFix. The code officer for that area will get an email that shows that what you have posted as a concern, and they'll go take a look at it and see if it's in violation or not.
And you'll get a response to that. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that sounds excellent. Well, Julie Kaler, thank you so much for visiting with me today.
You bet, Jay. My pleasure.
And thank you guys for letting us come on and talk about the city of College Station. And that's stuff you don't usually see. All right. Well, I hope that sounded okay. We're going to find out from Mark.